So in my last video I showed lube sizing the bullets from Walter Bunning, the SAECO number 418, and they came out quite nice. They're sitting up here on the bench ready to go. So now it's time to get them loaded so that we can test them and have some fun at the range. And per Walter's letter in the package, there is load data in the cast bullet handbook that covers that Lyman bullet. So let's take a look at that. Of course, I've already looked at it. This is just for the video. But right here we show the SAECO number 418, and it looks like they were fond of 14.5 grains of 2400. So I've got the Lee safety disc powder measure all set up for 14.5 grains of 2400. I've done some test charges and it's throwing real nicely. So the next step is to get this brass primed. This is Starline brass. It's already been sized and trimmed, and we'll use this old 3-hole value turret press. This one does have auto index and whatnot. Right now I've just got it set up with the Lee Safety Prime 2, which is tray fed, similar to the little Ram Prime. We've all seen these Lee Ram Primes, but this is very similar to the Ram Prime, but it's an old discontinued product that actually uses the primer feed, and I like priming with it. I've showed it in a couple other videos. You put it on there and it's got a real nice feel to it. Real easy. You let it down, it feeds another primer, and it does a great job seating the primer. It's one of my favorite ways to prime brass. They go super quick. You can kind of hold the handle about 2/3 of the way down and just let it feed the primers in and seat them, and it probably has got about the best feel of anything I've used to prime cases with, and they go really quick. Like any of the other Lee primer feeders that use this style of chute, you need to make sure the chute is clean and keep a little tap now and then to keep them feeding. As long as you've got a stack of primers in the trough there, they'll feed reliably with gravity. I don't know if you can see, you got to keep that nice and full, tap it to make sure they're feeding down. And sometimes when you get to the end, you need to give them a little boost. But they say it's probably the most enjoyable priming tool that I have, and I have several of them. As long as you keep them feeding down the tube, it works pretty good. But I'm looking forward to trying these bullets from Walter. I've got 50 of them that he sent. They're all sized and lubed and ready to go. I spent a little bit of time setting this press up and getting it ready. Once I finish this priming, the turret with the loading dies are sitting there behind on the bench. I haven't fine-tuned any of that yet. I just changed the seating stem in the Hornady seating die to a stem that would work with that semi-wad cutter shape. You could see there a minute ago that there was a little bit of a gap in the trough, but as things bumped, it filled. Just give this a tap every once in a while to make sure that those stay fed in there. But say this is probably my favorite way to prime brass. It's not as glamorous as some of the other tools, but I don't know why Lee quit making it. They had it for quite some time, and it seems like some of my favorite tools from Lee, like this safety disc powder measure and the Safety Prime 2, are the ones that they've discontinued and no longer have. Make sure that trough stays full. But I like these old 3-hole value turret presses. I have several that are the 3-hole, and I have one that I've turned into a 4-hole with a conversion kit. I have several different vintages of these presses. I really like them with the 3 holes. If you only need 3 stations, they're quite fast. But they're not as classy as the classic turret press. I guess that's why they call it classic. It's more, see, so now's where you have to pay attention to the gravity. Make sure it feeds the primer in all the way, because if it only goes in part way. So what I'll do a lot of times, so you can feel there, it didn't feel it feed one in. Give it a tap. Make sure the primer's there. You can look in there and see it. There it is. So we're getting down to the end, so we don't have the stack up of primers pushing down on each other. See, we didn't get one there. So when you get to this point, you need to sometimes take a little tool. I have a little wire tool here that I'll use sometimes and just until you drop it, like everything else in the world. You can see I got a primer on there when it came up. So it's not really a video unless you have something go wrong, right? We could edit that out, but what's the fun in that? I'm trying to go along at a pretty good pace here because I don't want to spend a bunch of time editing this video, but I don't want it to take too long either. Working with one hand up there and one on the handle. Should be 2 more primers in there. There's 1 more. After that, let's give her a push in there, make sure it feeds. And it didn't feed, so let's give it another little push. There it is. And the last one. All right. Check it out. So now we're all primed. Looking good. So we can pop this turret out now. And pop the stem out. Don't need that. We do need our index rod though. Put that in. And then let's put this turret in, and this is the turret that we'll use for reloading these rounds. So the way I've got this set up right now is this is the Lee Universal case expanding die. This has an NOE insert in it right now for 41 Magnum. It's 413 by 409. So the upper part, the large diameter where the bullet goes in for easy seating, is 413, and then 409 for the rest of the bullet grip. This station here, we've got the Hornady seating die, and then I've got the micrometer stem on there to make it adjusting easy. And then in the third station, that is the Lee Collet style factory crimp die for 41 Magnum. And took the shell holder off of that safety prime too. We'll pop it in there. We really don't need this priming arm that is on the 3-hole press, so we'll just lay that to the side and get it out of the way. So I guess the next thing is to figure out our case expansion. So let's get to this station here. This was adjusted somewhat close from a previous session, but let's run one up in there and see how it feels. There's the expansion. That's the second step. I think that's plenty, so I'm going to back that off a little bit, I think. Let's go back to there. Okay. Let's see what I got. Felt pretty good. Let's see how it fits our bullet. Oh yeah, that's great. Just puts in there real nice, starts straight. This is not a powder through style expander, it's just a solid one. Let's do another. Let's see how it works. Let's go back around to that station. Dropped another one. Gotta love it. Okay, another bullet. Let's try. Oh, I backed that out too much when I backed it out. Back around about right there. That felt better. I felt the second step that time. Go just a little bit more, about a quarter of a turn, and I think that'll be right on the money. Yep, I like that. Looks good. Maybe just a smidgen more. Yep, I like that. We'll find out for sure once we seat one to make sure we don't shave any lead. Let's get back to this one. So here we are. Let's spot check our powder charge. We'll go ahead and go to the bullet seating station, charge our case here. It's looking pretty good. The case level looks about like it was before. I'm going to go ahead and tear out my scale on one of these and give it a check. Can't really see the scale on the camera, but it's up there. So that's sitting there. 104 empty, tear it out. We're shooting for 14.5 grains. This was throwing about 14.3, 14.4, which is plenty close enough for me. And we've got 14.2. Let's throw another charge and see. $14.3. I think that's satisfactory for me. So I've got 2 of them here ready to go. I have not adjusted this seating stem yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Start the bullet in there with that nice expansion. Okay, there. If that's a good start, let's just up into that band. It needs to go down quite a bit. So let's go a full... Go about to right there. Yep, about 50 thousandths more. Let's try this other one and make sure it doesn't shave. But it starts nicely. That looks good. So let's adjust our seating depth. There's another 50 thousandths. It's about 1/10 of an inch. That's just a little bit too much. Let's back that off about to there. That looks just about right. Let's check it on another bullet just to make sure. Nope, still a little bit too deep. Let's back that off about that much. Let's run around to another one. Here's our expansion. Here's our powder throw. Grab a bullet. Check our seat. Oh yeah, that's right on the money. So if you look there and you compare to where that is versus that top band, and on this bullet here, it's right at the base of that top band. So now we're ready to set our crimp. We are on the crimp die. Let's go ahead and run that in. Needs to come down. Come down more. Come down more. A little bit more. I can feel that crimp. Let's take a look at that. Still want a little bit more. That felt better. Let's see how that one looks. Still like just a little bit more. I think that feels good. Tighten up the lock ring. Now we should be good to go. Oh yeah, that looks great. Got a nice crimp there from that Collet style factory crimp die. These other 2 that I seated a little bit too deep, I'll just give those one little tap with the bullet puller and then reseat them, and they'll be all set. All right, so now we're ready to go to town. So let's move things up here where we can get a hold of it. Scooch my bullets up here. All right, so start out. Station 1, there's our expansion. Advance it. Get a powder charge. Gotta love that. Start a bullet. Seed a bullet. Crimp a bullet. All right, that's marvelous. And I guess it's just lather, rinse, repeat now. Nice start. Nice seat. Depth looks good. There's the crimp. Okay, that's a nice looking round. Let's whoa. Gotta knock things off. That's looking really good. I think Walter cast some really nice bullets. I think they're gonna be a lot of fun to try at the range. There's our expansion. Let's have a powder charge. Let's grab a bullet and seat it. Looking really good. There's our expansion. Powder charge. Don't drop the bullets. There's already 2 on the floor that I need to pick up. Seat the bullet and crimp the bullet. And I didn't measure the overall length. I just went to the crimp groove. That's really what matters to me on this round. There's our expansion. There's our powder charge. Let's seat a bullet. And once again, you can see that the seating is just right up to that band, ready to crimp. I do trim my pistol brass because I like the consistency that I get in the expansion and crimping. I'm going to pick up the 2 bullets that I dropped just so I don't forget them. And I'm knocking more stuff over. Actually, I didn't knock anything over. I just bumped it. Okay, there's the 2 that I dropped. I got those picked up. So let's do 2 more. And then we'll wrap up the video. You've seen how I run some of this stuff. This is pretty typical of how I run some of this low volume handgun ammo. I really like these old 3-hole classic turret presses. They're very enjoyable to run. Looks good. And like I said, those 2 that I seated a little bit too deep, I'll just tap the bullet out a little bit with the puller and fix those, and we'll be back in business. Bullet starts really nice with that expansion. And there's the crimp. And once again, we'll wipe one off here so you can see what they look like when they're ready to go. And I'll probably shoot these in probably either my Model 57 or my Red Hawk, maybe the Contender barrel, but most likely the Model 57. I think Walter would appreciate seeing them shoot from the 57. So there you have it. Once again, the SAECO 418 from Walter Bunning. We've got them loaded up with 14.5 grains roughly of 2400, and we'll see how they shoot in an upcoming video. Thanks everybody for watching.